Part 63. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 639. Tidal Star is the world that was unfortunately invaded by the Chaos virus. Fortunately, when the Chloris expedition fleet arrived, the world had just been invaded and the population did not suffer a sharp decline. Coupled with Chloris' strong intervention, the Chaos virus was divided by the Chaos Hunters' ground divisions and the cruise fleet's orbital bombardment before it could gain a firm foothold on the tidal star. This was a two-pronged attack. For the first time, the chaotic bodies experienced what it means to have no way to go from heaven to earth, and they were beaten to a pulp. The penetrating and imploding warheads roared out from the barrel of the gun, fiercely explaining to the chaotic bodies what cruelty is. The Chaos Hunters moved through the almost ruined city in a small team of 5. Every time they reached an intersection, one of the 5 would point their gun into it. If there is no trace of the Chaos body, he will not fire. He will not turn his sight until the teammates behind him have passed safely. And if a chaotic creature is discovered, directly reward it with a few penetrating implosion bombs, allowing it to enjoy the pain of a sudden explosion of its body. During this period, the Chaos Hunter team also met many Tidar civilians who had survived the Chaos body's offensive. For these civilians, the Chaos Hunter team will save them whenever they can. If conditions permit, they will also lead the injured among the Tidar civilians to the nearest airdrop warehouse to treat their injuries. The giant chaotic creature above the head was bombarded by the firepower of the cruise fleet group, and finally fell to the ground with a scream, turning into a giant flesh and blood skeleton. Facing a large number of chaotic creatures on the ground covering most of the city, the fire support units of the Chaos Hunters finally arrived on the planet's surface from the sky. The coordinated combat team composed of the Erasure Chariot and the Chaos Hunter became even more deadly. In front of the jet of particle flames, the Chaos body could only howl and turn into a burning torch. Facing this group of super strong men who suddenly fell from the sky, the Tidal government was initially surprised, then frightened, and finally delighted. Especially after Chloris used a translator to contact the Tidal regime, Chloris only responded indifferently to the Tidal government's thanks. This is the concept of our just world. Any Kamigawa creature that has the same form as us is our compatriot. To our compatriots we will help them, but to our enemies we will bring fatal destruction. I wonder if the Tidar people are willing to become friends of us Chloris people, join the world of justice, and become our true compatriots. Facing Kroll's words that seemed like a declaration but were actually an invitation, the Tidar government, which had been frightened by the power of the Chaos body, had no other choice at all and verbally agreed to the invitation to join the world of justice. But Kroll's didn't care so much. Since Tidal has agreed to join the world of justice, he must do his best to ensure the integrity of this world, because the people here have become the people of the goddess. As the goddess's sharp blade, Chloris will cut down any enemy who dares to threaten the survival of the goddess's people, so Chloris increased the number of troops invested in Teldal. A total of 15 battle groups and their associated light and heavy weapons were dispatched, including erasure tanks, air carriers, multifunctional fire support supplementary vehicles and other equipment. The accompanying Chloris Defense Force was also not idle, dispatching more than 500,000 people, relying on the equipped Blaster Type 1, and the accompanying Super Heavy Roaring Tank and the Raider Light Tank, using infantry and tanks in coordination. Fighting style Annihilator, the living force of chaos. On the streets of Kodar City, which has almost been reduced to ruins, a Tidal man in ragged clothes, stained with dust and dried blood, is wandering among the ruins, looking for food and water to satisfy their hunger. During the Chaos virus invasion 2 days ago, nearly half of the residents of Kodal City died tragically from the monsters that fell from the sky. The surviving Tidar people fell into extreme fear and despair. However, those ferocious chaos monsters did not remain arrogant for long before they were slaughtered by the metal armor giants who fell from the sky like chopping melons and vegetables. Then the giants began to move forward, cleaning up the remaining chaotic creatures in the city. The surviving civilians of title who had been hiding for 2 days had to leave their hiding places in the face of hunger and come to the dangerous ruins of the city to search food. Astrid felt lucky that she was saved by those armor giants when she was about to be killed by those monsters. They also placed her in special metal equipment and healed her injured calf. But it was obvious that those armor giants had probably forgotten her, a weak Tidar woman, or were simply still enjoying the pleasure of killing those monsters. Astrid fumbled away from the machine that healed herself, left the metal creation that was like a metal room, came to the outside world and started wandering around, looking for something to satisfy her hunger. But the fact was that Astrid was very frustrated, because in addition to the ruins around her, there were the mutilated corpses of monsters and compatriots, but she did not dare to go too far from this area, for fear of encountering such terrifying monsters again. I don't know how long it took, 1 hour, 2 hours, or 5 hours, a sequence of neat and heavy footsteps came from a distance, which was exactly the direction those metal armor giants were heading 2 days ago. Astrid and some of the surviving Tidar people were involuntarily attracted by the unusual movement, and they all raised their lowered heads to look in the direction of the sound. Soon in their sight, a group of 5 people in a row, all composed of tall and majestic armor giants, appeared in the ruins and came towards them. Among the neat queues were several large land vehicles with a height of almost 4 meters, equipped with turrets and heavy armor. The remains of buildings along the way were crushed to pieces by their tracks. Among them, the red flag fluttering in the wind in the team is so eye-catching. Compatriots of Tidar, we are from the world of Chloris. We are the first legion of the expedition to the just world in order to unite the humans in the sea of stars and live stably in this cruel universe. We have reached an agreement with your government. Tidar will join the family of Justice World and become one of us, believing in and fighting for a goddess. So there is no need to be afraid of us, there is no need to be afraid of us, we are the sharp blades of the righteous world, and we are also the solid barrier to protect you from harm. Listening to the stiff electronic sounds that came from the armor giants, the Tidar people present felt a sense of relief. Subsequently, the metal armor giants did not do anything inconsistent with the words they broadcast, and even set up a material distribution office to distribute a hard, unknown, but very hungry food to the Tidar people who had no food. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 640. Just when Chloris expedition encountered a world that was invaded by the chaos virus, and reached a friendly consensus with that world, he successfully won a new world for the just world to join. The expeditions of other civilizations also encountered some difficulties and special circumstances. The Intelligent Control Corps in the world of Makra encountered a very special biological civilization. The residents there had an appearance that was completely different from the divine river body, and could even be said to be ugly. They have tall bodies wrapped in a layer of brown hair, and have a large red eye on their oval heads. They do not have hearing organs in the conventional sense, and use 2 tentacles on their foreheads to collect sound information in the air. This special race, named Rendagang people by Makra, has not developed any powerful technology, but it has special abilities that the Makra world cannot understand for a while. That is to control a special energy that does not exist in the physical universe. This shocked many deans and wise men in Makra, saying that this was unscientific. Fortunately, the Rendagang people have considerable wisdom and can communicate with each other. In addition, they are very aware of current affairs and do not choose to confront the justice world, thus avoiding a full-scale war with the Makra world. In fact, it's not that the Rendagang people don't want to drive away these invaders and continue to live their carefree lives, it's because the enemy is too powerful. Faced with the densely packed self-disciplined combat weapons of the Intelligent Control Corps, the Rendagang people also had a tentative fight at the beginning. As a result, they were beaten up by the Intelligent Control Corps, and they deeply realized the gap between the enemy and ourselves. So after talking with the expedition commander of Makra world, and getting a promise from Makra that he would not destroy the Rendagang civilization, he immediately surrendered to Makra world. At the same time, the Rendagang people expressed that they also wanted to join the Justice world, but they were rejected by the Makra world, which made the Rendagang people a little frustrated and disappointed. Because after the troops from the Justice world entered the Rendagang world, they were surprised to find that their living conditions had become better than before they entered the Rendagang world in the Justice world. On the other hand, the Intelligent Control Corps from the Makra world did not choose to massacre these Rendagang people who had different forms from them after entering the Rendagang world. As the Makra people who aim at scientific innovation and exploring the truth of the universe, they believe that meaningless massacres are just a waste of time. In addition, these Rendagang people also cooperated with some research to explore their racial talents. Therefore, in order to thank the Rendagang people for their cooperation, the Makra people began to guide the Rendagang people on how to more effectively improve the efficiency of food cultivation and make it more efficient. Utilize your own racial talents and world resources. This is also the reason why the Rendagang people want to join the Justice world. However, there is currently no precedent for the joining of physical civilizations other than Kamigawa in the Justice world, so there is no definite answer to the Rendagang people. However, the Rendagang people will not be the last civilization that wants to join the Justice world. Binghua is very sure that in the future, within the expansion scope of the Justice world, more and more existences like the Rendagang people will be encountered. As for whether to accept physical civilizations other than the Kamigawa body to join the community of Justice world, Binghua has not yet made up his mind, so he did not accept the Rendagang people's application to join. At present, except for the two worlds of Markla and Chloris, there are no special situations in the expedition routes of other civilizations. In addition to discovering a varying number of resource planets, the World Expedition also discovered several planets with good ecological environments or potential for transformation during the expedition of more than a year. However, Binghua knew very well that the current stability was just an appearance. When the world of justice established a firm foothold in this star field and declared its existence to the entire starry sky, a series of troubles would follow. Just like the world of New Elrose, when their expedition reaches their former home, the conflict with the Eternal Ascended Ones will be inevitable. Even so, Binghua did not stop the expedition of the Alal's people, because the conflict with the Eternal Ascended One was bound to happen sooner or later, and Binghua could not agree with his behavior no matter how many years passed. All Binghua can do is try his best to research some weapons that can be used as killer weapons, or technology that is powerful enough to ensure that the world of justice will not be destroyed in the future conflict with the Chaos Virus and the Eternal Ascended One. So the Herpoleus project came into being. This name, which represents the god of destruction in the ancient mythology of angels, will once again reveal his name as the god of destruction to the sea of stars in the future, outside the angel nebula. Herpoleus technology. Binghua has a complete set of information in his mind, although in the eyes of angel civilization this old-fashioned celestial weapon is a bit backward, with shortcomings such as being bulky, unable to move, and slow to charge. But none of these can conceal its huge destructive power as a celestial weapon. It is a super weapon that can truly be used to deter enemies. Binghua plans to choose a planet system around the extremely important forging world of Fanshan to carry out the Herpoleus project. Another super project is the instantaneous space wormhole system called the Gate of Time and Space, which is a side project specially established for the Herpoleus project. Its core principle is space wormhole technology, and Liangbing left a very complete theoretical system information in Angel's database. Binghua is confident that it will take 100 or 200 years to develop this thing. By then, with the cooperation of Herpoleus, the righteous world will have a quick strike method across galaxies. So Binghua established the Herpoleus project and the Gate of Time and Space scientific research team in Markla, and handed over all the complete sets of technical information and theoretical systems to researchers in Markla. The purpose is to develop the capabilities of the scientific researchers in Makra and enhance their knowledge. Sometimes Binghua had to lament that having more people was sometimes beneficial. Just like the Hercules project, nearly 10,000 Makra researchers participated, and the Space-Time Gate project also had a scale of nearly 3,000 people. If it were an angel civilization, an ordinary scientific research project would often involve more than a dozen scientific research angels, and even some research would be completed by some scientific research angels alone. Although this shows that angels' scientific research abilities are extremely strong, this is based on a long time. Because of their long lifespan, some angels do not mind spending hundreds of years studying a topic of interest to them. The Makra people are different. They have extremely mature experience in large-scale group research. 100 years ago, the Makra was not yet unified. In order to outperform the other in a certain aspect, the two colleges often gather research teams of hundreds or thousands of people to improve research efficiency. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 641. Therefore, in some large-scale projects, having more people is sometimes an advantage. A large amount of complex data can be assigned and processed simultaneously, and it can often be completed in a shorter time than expected. The orbital dockyard of the Forge world has also been established in this century, specializing in the production of medium and large space cruise battleships for various worlds. However, after other worlds were successfully established in the orbital dock of Fanshan and put into operation, they also began to plan to choose a second world around the main world as a forging world. Although all worlds are part of the Just world, and the leaders of these worlds have not violated the goddess's ideas, they must have their own shipbuilding capabilities and industrial systems. This is a consensus shared by every world. Binghua also supports these worlds to have their own forging worlds, which can effectively alleviate the production pressure of Fanshan people, while also increasing the productivity and war potential of the entire Justice world. The last thing that happened was that Ice Flower left New Elleries and established his new residence and research facilities in an unnamed planetary system. Many Alal's people who devoutly believe in Ice Flower also choose to go to the newly developed planetary system with the goddess, planning to build a new home there. And this planetary system was quickly occupied by residents of various worlds. The title of God's throne world is the center of the future world of justice, which is also the world established by the goddess. Because of the closest distance, New Alals moved some of its military forces and people to the planet system closest to the world of God, and began to develop a planet with the conditions for transformation there. Because Alals has no experience in transforming an entire planet, the world of Makra has specially dispatched a team headed by a wise man who studies planetary transformation technology to assist Alals in developing this planet in the future. A world regarded as the gateway to the God's throne world by Ehlers. Binghua did not ask the Alals people to develop that star field. It was completely a spontaneous act of the Alals people, and it was also a decision made by Chi without authorization, because the world around the God's throne was too empty. If there is an invasion by an external force, without any obstacles or checkpoints along the way, you can drive straight in and directly hit the throne world. Therefore, the order to develop the portal world was issued. Although this will slow down Alals, Chi thinks it is worth it. This way. After the God's throne world was confirmed, Binghua started crazy infrastructure construction. Compared with the construction speed of various worlds under his command, Binghua's God's throne world was even worse. Relying on the Tianjian engineering robots and Binghua's pioneering miniaturization of the material printer on them, the construction of the Tianjian engineering robots was extremely fast. In addition to transforming the second planet of the God's throne world and making it habitable, Binghua also followed up with the giant star ring to circle the stars of the God's throne world for experiments and energy supply. Other equipment and projects of various experimental natures, such as the antimatter collider, energy compression extraction and solidification array, and other equipment and projects of various experimental natures have all been included in the construction plan by Binghua. At the same time, Binghua also mobilized a lot of new generation researchers from Markla to serve as his team for various future research projects to carry out some complex data verification work. If there are outstanding talents among these researchers who came to the God's Throne world from the Makra world, Binghua would not mind cultivating them personally and become his future research assistants. While these projects were slowly being constructed, Binghua was not idle either. With the help of the computing power of Tianjian, which had become the basic intelligence system of the justice world, she began to build the basic framework of the dark plane celestial supercomputing in the God's Throne world. Among them, Binghua is only responsible for the core part, because only she has this ability. Other peripheral framework algorithms are all outsourced by Binghua to scholars and wise men on Makra who are good at this. Even if it is only the most peripheral and superficial celestial supercomputing construction algorithm, it still takes up a lot of manpower and material resources from Makra. However, in the face of the tasks issued by the goddess, it must be completed even if it is difficult. As a result, a new discipline emerged in Makra, dark plane information, which is responsible for cultivating researchers and exploring dark plane computers and information technology. Of course, the knowledge they teach is the basis of some dark plane computers. Although Makra's technological level does not reach the level of a god-making civilization, its theoretical knowledge level is enough to put to shame those scientists in the known universe who have just entered a god-making civilization. Because of the existence of Binghua, the master of the known angel civilization in the universe, most of the technologies that would take hundreds or thousands of years to achieve initial results for a god-making civilization are everywhere in the world of justice. Coupled with the angel civilization exploring the road ahead, scientific researchers in the just world can avoid many detours, so their technical level develops extremely rapidly. Moreover, after 100 years of development and application, the technology of transforming warriors has gradually become a civilian technology in various worlds after certain castration and mass production modifications. Some people will undergo transformation surgery to obtain a stronger body and a stronger body than before. Long lifespan. This has caused the number of various special talents in the justice world to keep rising, and is also the reason why Binghua so casually recruits scientific researchers from the Makra world. While Binghua was quietly farming and developing in the chaotic star field outside the known universe, the known universe was once again in turmoil after thousands of years of peace. The angelic civilization has lost 2 of its 4 kings. This is a decline that can be seen by anyone with a discerning eye. The angelic war god who once made all the god-making civilizations feel fear is no longer there. Those civilizations thought they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. The power has become even more powerful. The existence called Holy Kesha by the civilization under the order of justice has replaced the former angelic god of war and continues to coerce the entire known universe. No one can match it. Compared with the angelic war god's powerful frontal combat ability and the sharp method of killing gods like killing dogs, Holy Kesha gives the main gods of these god-making civilizations a more dangerous feeling. That is to truly not regard God as God, just sit there and slide your finger gently, and the silver blade appearing from the void will kill anyone who dares to provoke the king of angels on the spot. This made the gods of these god-making civilizations truly feel that the so-called gods were no different from fragile mortals in front of this king of angels. Nowadays, it is known that the angel civilization in the universe is the only one. Because Liang is surrounded by enemies, it chooses to huddle in the Tiandao galaxy. The remaining half of the Liang star does not know what big move it is holding back. At the same time, it also unleashes it on its neighbors with malicious intentions. With the dangerous message, "Don't mess with me, if you mess with me I will blow up your Sunday." He obviously plans to recuperate in the next period of time and does not want to get involved in other things. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 642. Liang chose to recuperate and restrain his minions, silently licking the wounds left by the final revenge of the Noxing god of war after the destruction of Indano. As a result, the Islanders and the Thunderblade stars became the new overlords of the Kamigawa and Tiandao galaxy, and began to rapidly expand their power. The civilization that was originally affiliated with the Sun civilization saw that its boss was not doing anything, so it had no choice but to throw itself into the arms of its former enemy. At this point, Kamigawa Tiandao entered the era of Island, Thunderblade, and Sun. In addition to depriving the known universe of two god-making civilizations that could serve as pillars, the destruction of Dino also caused extremely bad consequences. Dino's technology began to leak out, and the god-killing weapons that were said to be only in the hands of angels and other advanced god-making civilizations are now beginning to be mastered by some aerospace-level civilizations. However, due to limitations in technology and processing levels, these god-killing weapons imitated by aerospace-grade civilizations can only be said to be unsatisfactory and not very powerful. They are all disposable items. Its cost is extremely expensive, which makes the idea of mass-producing god-killing weapons by these aerospace-level civilizations to check and balance the god-making civilization stillborn. However, these do not prevent the angel civilization from expanding its own order of justice. Rather, it is better to say that there are now two less influential god-making civilizations in the known universe, which will actually help the development of angels. Similarly, the new holy left wing of the angel civilization also gradually became famous. He was known as the Thunder God of War, and he was very famous for a while. However, Ran could feel that with the retirement of Queen Binghua, some of the old angel warriors he was familiar with also had thoughts of retiring. Because in the Merlot Heavenly Court, they constantly patrol the starfield day after day, often traveling to countless light years away to help the beings who believe in angels fight against evil. They have been traveling back and forth for thousands of years. These old angels are a little tired of this life. In addition, there are no enemies in Merlot Heaven, so when the first high-level angel applies to retire, there will be high-level angels or old angels applying to retire from the Angel Legion every year. These retired old angels did not go looking for their former Ice Flower Queen. Instead, they chose a planet with a good environment that they passed through during their journey of executing justice, and lived in seclusion on it. For a time, the number of active angel warriors in Merlot Heaven was gradually decreasing. Keisha was a little worried. If this development continued, the angel civilization might weaken to an unprecedented level. In order to solve this problem, Kesha could only increase the investment in resources for transformation angels, and now a large number of new generation angels began to flood the Merlot Heaven. But instead of alleviating the overall strength decline of the angel civilization, this has also led to a new problem, which is the gap between the old and new angels. Some old angel warriors do not regard these angels transformed from ordinary Kamigawa women as beings equal to themselves from the bottom of their hearts. Although they do not look down on them, there is always a layer of identity barrier. Except when performing missions, I seldom communicate with these new generation angels. And because they are transformed angels, most of the new generation angels will have a certain inferiority complex when facing the old angels, which leads to the new generation angels only joining the group with the new generation angels. Although it will not evolve into two opposing groups, if it continues like this, it may end with one party sadly withdrawing from the Merlot Heavenly Lord battle order in the future. Thinking of this, Kesha couldn't help but get even more headache. If the general civilization can still rely on the guidance of the government or leaders, it can alleviate or solve this problem through the change of time. But angels can't. The old angel warriors who survived from that era are all spiritually determined people, although they respect themselves because of their status as the king of angels. Follow your own orders. But it is impossible to change their thoughts and attitudes towards life. If Binghua was still there, he could use his huge influence among the old angel warriors to slightly change these old angels' views on the new generation of angels. Although the second-generation Holy Left-Wing Ran is capable, it does not have the same influence as the first-generation Holy Left-Wing Binghua. It is almost impossible to change the status quo, and we can only try our best to stabilize the situation. Thinking of this, Kesha couldn't help but miss the time when the Merlot Heavenly Court was first established and the four kings had a clear division of labor. Any problem could be solved quickly as long as the four sisters got together to communicate. While Kesha was thinking about various miscellaneous things within the angel civilization, Alan entered the hall, bowed and reported later. Queen Kesha, Carl established a force called the Styx Galaxy in the Red Star Ring, and is constantly recruiting some animal civilizations to cultivate as its own affiliated forces. Kesha perked up after hearing this and was a little surprised. This is really a strange thing. The Super Seminary was once at odds with the Beast Body civilization, and even organized a physical war to drive out the Beast Body civilization. Now that his students have gone to Binghua to accept the Beast Body civilization as their younger brothers, aren't they afraid that the old guy from space will jump out and say that he deceived his master and destroyed his ancestors? Kesha's tone was teasing, but that was the end of it. Her expression became serious the next moment. Go tell the Holy Left Wing to send angels to keep a close eye on that guy Carl, and let me know if there is any change. The space principal mysteriously disappeared, and the control authority of the big clock also fell into Carl's hands. In addition, recently, Carl suddenly started to establish his power and recruit animal civilization as his younger brother. It was undoubtedly telling her, the king of the gods, that I, Carl, was ready to cause trouble. At this moment, in the newly built Styx Galaxy, Carl stood in the square of the Death Song Academy he established. He pulled down his blue hood, looked at the starry sky, and stretched out his hand as if he wanted to grab something, but after a moment Carl withdrew his hand. At this time, a burst of footsteps came from behind. A man wearing a silver-gray angular metal mask and very strange clothes came to stand not far behind Carl, raised his hand and saluted. My God, the animal civilization within the Styx Galaxy is willing to believe in you, my God, and become your affiliated civilization, and will be driven by you, my God, from now on. But they also have a condition. A faint smile appeared on Carl's young face. I didn't expect that these animal civilizations would put forward so-called conditions for believing in a main god. This really surprised me. Snow, tell me, what are the conditions? The masked man named Snow hesitated for a moment, and then spoke cautiously. My God, their condition is that you must protect them from being attacked by the affiliated civilizations of the angel civilization from now on. Carl's expression was a little strange, but he still nodded and spoke in a very calm tone. Tell them that from now on, as long as they don't leave the Styx Galaxy, no one will bother them. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 643. Upon hearing this, Snow immediately took the order and retreated, slowly disappearing into the darkness. Carl's eyes were always on the stars in the sky, and he did not move his eyes away even when talking to Snow. After staring at the starry sky for an unknown length of time, Carl lowered his head again. A light curtain appeared in his sight, and he began to connect with a friend he had not contacted for a long time. A few seconds later, a female voice familiar to Carl came from the other side of the communication. Carl, why did you suddenly contact me today? I heard that you established the Death Song Academy and created some kind of Styx Galaxy. I would like to congratulate you. Carl, you finally got rid of the influence of your teacher and started your own business. There was a hint of ridicule in Liang Bing's tone, and Carl just replied with a chuckle. The teacher's wisdom is beyond my comparison. In my heart, the teacher will always be the greatest wise man in the known universe. Although I have some small achievements now, in the end everything I have gained is the legacy left by the teacher. Liang Bing, who was on the other side of the communication, was stunned when he heard this and captured the key word heritage in Carl's words. Carl, You said you received the inheritance of the space principle? Has space fallen? No, teacher, he just went to pursue the so-called ultimate fear. I don't know where teacher is now. But I firmly believe that teacher, sooner or later, he will return to the known universe with the great cause of solving the ultimate fear. Liang Bing could only laugh inwardly at this, and he already had some guesses in his mind. It was estimated that the old guy must have made some mistakes in his research, otherwise he would not have appeared in the known universe for thousands of years. Carl obviously didn't want to talk too much about his teacher, so he changed the topic. Liang Bing, I wonder how you have been doing these years. On the other side, located at the edge of the Z universe, Liang Bing stood on the bridge of his new flagship Demon King. Hearing this, he glanced at the demons who were fighting with the beasts in the projection light screen. What else can I do? Fight every day, fight every day. There are so many beast-like civilizations here that you can't finish them all no matter how you kill them. Seeing my mother, she looked bitter and resentful. She dared to reject this queen's depraved idea of freedom. They deserved to be driven here to fend for themselves by those bitches of Kesha. Liang Bing's words were full of inexplicable irritability, and it was obvious that her current situation was not as easy as her words suggested. Carl knew exactly where the edge of the known universe was, and he had the authority to control the big clock. He once persuaded Liang Bing, but Liang Bing insisted on going his own way. As a result, it had developed for nearly 1,000 years and had not yet established a firm foothold there. Even the demonic civilization could not be rebuilt. Because there are animal civilizations that have failed in the physical war, they are extremely hostile to the creatures of the divine river, especially those with wings on their backs. This makes Liang Bing's concept of degenerate freedom that has been tried and tested in the known universe crazily frustrated. The animal civilization does not accept her at all, they only believe in power. As for Liang Bing, due to the inaccessibility of the place, the lack of resources, and the high pressure of competition, the demonic strength under her command has never been able to recover after reincarnation. She can only live frugally while playing with those beast body civilizations. Playhouse. Liang Bing, there seems to be a slight situation within the angel civilization recently. The new Holy Left seems to lack a little prestige, and the justice execution efficiency of the angelic civilization has been significantly reduced recently. Liang Bing laughed immediately after hearing this. Seeing her sister encountering difficulties, she felt very happy as she had been pressed to the ground and rubbed by angels several times. Even the beast-like warriors on the screen who had just raised her blood pressure were also. I can't help but feel it's a little more pleasing to the eye. It seems that my biological sister is finally coming to the end of her so-called righteous order. I knew that without Binghua, she would be unable to survive alone, and now it seems that is indeed the case. Didn't my leaving make her realize her mistake at all? There has never been a true so-called unity within the angels. Now that Binghua has left, if the Holy Left Wing was not held by Binghua's former guard, I am afraid that Merlot Heaven would have fallen apart. But now it seems that our little angel Ran has not been able to fulfill her due responsibilities. I seem to have seen the future of the division of Merlot Heaven. In fact, the 4 former angel kings are very aware of the internal problems of angels, but there is no good solution. The long lifespan and powerful power of angels are certainly an advantage, but they are also a disadvantage. A long life and strong power will prevent angels from changing their views on certain things easily due to stimulation from external objects and the environment. More than 10,000 years ago, the conflict between the angel factions was greatly alleviated by the unification of the Merlot Heavenly Court and the concessions of the other 3 kings, and the ascendancy of the angel king Kesha. But Liang Bing's departure brought this historical issue back to the forefront of the Merlot Heavenly Court, and it ended with most of the angels from the Apocalypse King faction retiring. However, this once again created a gap between the several archangel factions that had begun to merge. Ruaning, who was formerly an influential member of the Tianren faction, made no secret of his distrust of other factions. After being warned by Kesha, he had restrained his thoughts over the years. The recent retirement of Millennium Binghua has caused the high-level angels of the original Heavenly Sword faction to form a group with Ren as the center, in order to prevent being marginalized by the caring angels of Merlot Heaven. Obviously Kesha would not allow such a thing to happen. She treated everyone equally, which prevented serious consequences of overt cooperation and covert division. Therefore, this problem will not be exposed until now, but at least it has not developed towards the worst situation, which is the only thing to be thankful for. Carl's interest obviously increased when he saw Liang Bing, and he made a suggestion at the right time. Liang Bing, it is now known that the angels of the universe are weakening, and your development in the edge star field is so slow. Why not go back to the known universe to rebuild the demonic civilization? Moreover, you have also obtained information on Noxing's god-killing weapons. It shouldn't be difficult to deal with the angel's attack. Liang Bing, who was on the other side of the communication line, began to ponder, obviously a little moved. However, it was obvious that the two failed attacks made her a little wary, and she hesitated for a moment. This was very unsatisfactory for Liang Bing. Even Carl was a little surprised by Liang Bing's reaction. This was not the decisive and spontaneous person she remembered. But Carl soon realized what he was caring about. Fortunately, he knew Liang Bing's character very well, otherwise he would never be able to guess the reason. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 644. Liang Bing, aren't you still taking care of Binghua? She has been retired for almost 1,000 years. After hearing this, Liang Bing on the other side of the communication was like a cat whose tail was stepped on, and immediately jumped to retort. Who is afraid of her? How could I, the Demon King Morgana, be afraid of her? It's just that I'm thinking about how to defeat her, otherwise even if I return to the known universe, I will just repeat the same old path. Listening to Liang Bing's tough tone but the most cowardly words, Carl couldn't help but show a faint smile on his face. Only in the conversation with Liang Bing will Carl truly look like a human being, not someone who can easily grant death to others. God. You can rest assured about Binghua, she will not return to the known universe in a short time. I have used a large clock to observe most areas of the known universe except the Angel Nebula, and I have found no trace of her. Binghua last appeared more than 900 years ago. Since then, she has been moving towards the edge of the known universe, and finally disappeared from the side of the big clock. According to my calculation, Binghua probably wants to break away from the angels in order to minimize his influence on the angel civilization and thereby promote the integration between the angel factions. But judging from the facts, her purpose seems to have failed. Carl told Liang Bing the information he had collected. After listening to Liang Bing felt that Carl's analysis was reasonable, but she still spoke up. Carl, don't underestimate this sister of mine. Although my sister doesn't talk much, she does have strong opinions on what she does. Although she sometimes gives up her persistence temporarily for the sake of the overall situation, when she really wants to do something, she never fails. In addition, I will consider your suggestion as appropriate, but that will have to wait until I beat down all these beasts that have been disobedient. Liang Bing ended the call decisively after speaking. Just as Carl knew Liang Bing also knew Carl very well. If she didn't hang up the communication, I'm afraid Carl would praise his so-called void theory to her again. God's throne world, God's throne is the core city of God's world. Binghua's living and office area is located here, so this place is called the God's throne by those devout believers who believe in Binghua. Because this name fits the meaning of the city very well, the name gradually spread and eventually became the name of the city. The architectural style here is more in line with the angelic civilization. It is tall and magnificent. Temple-like buildings are the main theme here. The outer walls of the buildings are also carved with elegant and simple patterns to make the outer walls of these tall buildings less monotonous. Among them, Binghua's office and residence are the tallest and majestic palace in the God's throne, with a giant dome that is more than 10 meters high. On both sides and behind are windows that are almost as tall as the dome and are made of transparent crystals of various colors. Soft light is filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows and projected from the dome and the giant colorful floor-to-ceiling windows all over the hall walls, making the hall transparent and bright. In this spacious hall, there were only Binghua and the guards below near the door, wearing gorgeous armor and holding halberds. At this moment, Binghua, who was looking at the projection light screen in front of him and reviewing the calculation framework transmitted from the world of Makra, paused. Then in the void in front of it, blue energy began to gather. A tall figure nearly 3 meters tall and wearing armor and an old man only about 1.7 meters tall appeared in the wide hall. My God, I am Kralls, and this is the person in charge of the world of Tidar, Militra. Kroll's tall body in armor knelt on the ground and saluted. Militra on the side was a little embarrassed when he saw this, but it only took a moment before he knelt on the ground and saluted. Binghua stopped examining the projection screen and looked at Krolls and the old man beside him. Kralls, how many times have I told you that you don't need to be so respectful when you see me, but it seems you still didn't listen. Is this Lord Militra? Get up. In our righteous world, we do not like to kneel down and worship. You must not imitate Kralls in the future. Militra was really surprised to hear that this goddess with a delicate and beautiful face, whose every move was full of softness and strong presence, spoke so softly. Before meeting Hiawa, the leader of the righteous world, although he had heard from Krolls about the goddess's kindness and tolerance, he always thought that a being who could establish such a huge force must be a majestic goddess. But when I actually saw it, I discovered that in addition to the strong sense of presence that seemed to be the center of the world and the majesty between her eyebrows that had been in a high position for a long time, this goddess was gentle in both her tone of voice and her attitude towards others. However, Militra would not foolishly think that the ice flower goddess was a gentle god, because a gentle god could not establish a force that could make all 7 worlds loyal to her. Binghua didn't think too much about it. Her personality was plain and gentle. Unless she deliberately angered her or was an enemy, she was like this most of the time. Moreover, she is quite happy that the Tatal world is willing to join the justice world, because sometimes manpower also represents strength. As the leader of the world of justice, I am very happy that the world of Tidar is willing to join us. I believe that Kralls has told you before bringing you to see me that after joining the justice world, Tidal will be a part of our justice world. I will treat you all equally, because you are all my subjects just like the rest of the world, and there is no distinction between high and low. I believe that you and the civilians in the Tatal world have already understood some of the laws and obligations that must be observed. If there are no other opinions, then Tidal will become the 8th world under the rule of the just world from today on. Before Militra could apply to Binghua to join the justice world, Binghua had already said everything he wanted to say and asked in advance, leaving Militra speechless for a moment. In the end, Militra could only shake her head slightly to show that she had no other opinions. Seeing this, Binghua also nodded slightly and said again casually. In about a few months, the scientific research team from Makra World and the construction team from Forge World will arrive in Tidal World to assist you in completing the post-war reconstruction work. At the same time, orbital defense facilities are also established for the Tidar world to prevent the Chloris expedition fleet from leaving the Tidar world and the defense problems of the Tidal world. Hearing this, Militra was a little surprised. She didn't expect the efficiency of the justice world and its attitude towards the Tidal world to be so good. Before she even opened her mouth, the goddess solved the problem that the Tidal people were most worried about today. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shi Feng Si Wang. Chapter 645. A few minutes later, Militra and Krolls disconnected from the God's throne world, and their consciousness returned to the Chaos-class cruiser anchored in the tidal world. The goddess is really a being full of wisdom and broad-mindedness. I am deeply honored to meet with the goddess today. Militra said, half excited, and Krolls on the side also agreed. At the same time, he couldn't help but feel that this previously annoying politician had become more pleasing to the eye. Of course, the greatness of the goddess is known to all of us in the world. His brilliance will surely fill the entire starry sky in the future, and all his people will bathe in God's glory and live a stable and prosperous life. After hearing this, Militra quickly clicked a way to express his agreement with Crowley's point of view. He had already discovered that this commander from the world of Crowley's was a fanatical believer of the goddess, and he did not want others to say anything bad about the goddess. Militra had no doubt that as long as he said something disrespectful to the goddess now, he would be greeted by Krall's iron fist that was bigger than his own head, and then it was estimated that this big boy would immediately run to apologize to the goddess. But the strange thing is that Militra is not dissatisfied with the goddess at this moment, but is full of admiration. This is almost impossible for a politician. However, Militra knew very well that he was not brainwashed. It was just because of the huge difference in status that he had no other ideas. He was just like the ordinary people in his eyes, seeing the unattainable. The mood is the same when there is. When Militra returned to the surface of the Tidar world, he announced to the Tidar people of the entire world that he had successfully joined the Justice world. From then on, the Tidar civilization would become a world under the jurisdiction of the Justice world. Surprisingly, there was no voice of opposition, but instead there was overwhelming cheers and celebrations. This really made Militra, who had to spend a lot of effort to manipulate public opinion, feel puzzled. After announcing that Tidal would be merged into the Justice world, Militra also announced that the leader of the Justice world, Ice Flower Goddess, would send a scientific research and construction team from the Justice world to help Tidal rebuild his home and deploy orbital defense facilities. Got more praise. The belief in the goddess, which was originally brought by the Chloris people, also began to spread because of this opportunity, and was known to more Tidal people. And those few Tidar people who were directly rescued by Chaos Hunters or Chloris Defense Forces and began to believe in the goddess also believed that once the construction team of the goddess to assist the Tidar world arrived and began to rebuild the Tidar world, the belief in the goddess will surely gain great dissemination. Chloris will also lead the rested Chloris expedition fleet to continue on the journey after the orbital defense facilities of the tidal world are completed, and carry out this endless expedition to discover more worlds for the goddess. Sister Binghua, the scenery here is really nice. At the highest point of the god's throne, Chi stood in front of the balcony and looked down at the glorious god's throne on the lamp wall below. Even in the dark, it still shines like a pearl in the night. Binghua, who was sitting on the recliner and looking sideways at the scene, looked slightly sideways. Hearing this, a faint smile appeared on his face. Not bad, right? Chi, all of this was made possible by my own hands. It is for this picture of order and prosperity that I have been working so far for a just world. In the past, when I was still serving as the holy left wing of the angel civilization, Kesha's justice order stipulated that interference in the development of its civilization was not allowed. Facing those civilizations with harsh living environments that I have the ability to help, I can only regretfully show mercy, because Kesha said that only in this way can the development of civilizations in the known universe maintain diversity. Only in this way will those civilizations not become existences that only rely on angels. At that time, I thought what she said was very reasonable, and I continued to resolutely enforce the so-called just order. Destroy demons, suppress evil, judge sin. But it is obvious that Kesha is standing from the perspective of the so-called God, and her perspective is the entire known universe. And gradually I discovered that God's perspective is too high. After all, We are not truly heartless and desireless gods, and cannot be indifferent to the life and death of mortals. I wanted to find a path that could take care of both, so I gave up my identity as the Holy Left Wing and chose to leave Merlo Heaven alone and wander in the known universe. However, my identity is too sensitive in the known universe, and I am also labeled as a holy leftist, so it is not convenient for me to do anything. So I left the known universe and came to this starry sky until I met you, watching you worry and fight for the people of Ilals, and seeing you reorganize the originally chaotic Ilals into order. Appearance. I discovered that it was not difficult to change the world of mortals. What was difficult was whether I could give up my identity as a god and lend a helping hand to them. Chi, it can be said that it was your appearance that prompted me to change my mind. I found that rather than standing at the height of God, a human perspective is more suitable for me. Binghua looked a little nostalgic when he said this, while Chi blushed a little. He didn't expect that he could still be of such great help to Sister Binghua. In the past, in Kai's eyes, he had always been taken care of by Sister Binghua. At the same time, Chi was also very curious about the existence named Kesha mentioned by Sister Binghua. Sister Binghua, who is that being named Kesha? Seeing Kai's curious expression, Binghua smiled slightly and began to tell about Kesha, the king of gods. From the war between angels and men, to the physical war, and then the angels and demons, justice and evil, the image of Kesha is glorious and majestic in Binghua's mouth, like a magnificent heroic epic. Kai's eyes shone with yearning when he heard it, but he soon discovered the loopholes in it. In the epic told by Binghua, there were stories of Kesha, the king of gods, chasing down the evil god Huaye, and also suppressing the gods. There are also the outstanding contributions made by the Holy Right Wing He-11 to the angelic civilization, and the disgusting fallen free world of the demon king Morgana. But there was no story about his sister Binghua, the holy left-winger, so Chi couldn't help but ask. Binghua just smiled and said casually, "I don't have anything to say, it's all about fighting and killing." Chi was a bit reluctant, but Binghua didn't reveal her past until Chi disconnected the communication and left, and did not reveal her past under Kai's coquettish offensive. A few months later, the scientific research and engineering team from the Just World assisting the Tidal World arrived at the Tidal Star. At this point, the Tidal World also began its reconstruction work with the assistance of the Just World. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 646. In the blink of an eye, time came to the second 100 years of the Justice World. The expeditions in each world ended in this century, and they began to return to their own worlds to recuperate, and at the same time began to digest the results of this expedition. A large number of resource planets have been identified as targets for exploitation, and each world has ushered in a new round of explosive population growth. New colonies have been established, and the world of justice has ushered in a period of prosperity. At the same time, the time for the next expedition was also determined through discussions among the worlds, and the last expedition also added several more worlds under its jurisdiction to the Justice World. Although these worlds were not saved by the armies of the Justice World like the Tidal World, they also chose to join after seeing the power and superb technology of the Justice World. Although the Just World did not consolidate the power in the hands of these world leaders, it dispatched judicial troops for supervision and established a tribunal. Although this has been dissatisfied by some people in these worlds, the will of the Just World will not change because of these few people. This is Binghua's method of restricting these worlds to prevent them from taking the aid and resources of the Just World. In the end, he took precautionary measures that contradicted his own. As for these worlds that have not completely shifted to the world of justice, Binghua only intends to use them as recruiting worlds, and the technology of the elite corps will not be given to them. In the future, these worlds will be garrisoned by elite legions directly under the God Throne. At the same time, complete orbital defense facilities will be established in these worlds, but they will not be helped to establish a series of supporting worlds such as foundry and scientific research. Binghua's purpose of establishing a just world is not charity. For a world that is completely loyal to him and is willing to fight for the concept of a just world, he will naturally spare no effort to help them become stronger. As for those worlds that want autonomy but do not contribute much, Binghua also satisfies their ideas, that is, treating them as a pure conscription world or a resource world. I will use the human resources of your world to send elite troops to guard you and not interfere with your internal strife. As long as you do not affect the ordinary civilians of the righteous world, I don't care if you are just like a pig with a dog's brains. This is Binghua's governance philosophy. If he is too strong, he can certainly bring these worlds under the control of the righteous world, but it is not necessary. Because most of the resources in these worlds are in the hands of managers, if coercive measures are adopted, the only option is war. But the lives of military personnel loyal to a just world are precious, and there is no need to waste resources and lives in these meaningless places. And as time goes by, when these worlds become accustomed to living under the rule of the righteous world, by then, these higher UPS who want autonomy will be unable to resist even if they want to. When the just world ushered in its 5th century, the stable and peaceful development model was finally broken. Before ushering in its 5th century, the 7 worlds conducted 3 more expeditions in these years. In total, the total number of worlds under the jurisdiction of the Justice World has reached nearly 50, half of which are new colonial worlds developed by the 7 worlds, which are considered to be separated from the 7 worlds. In addition, there are more than 20 worlds, 10 of which are completely loyal to the world of justice, and have obtained the qualifications to apply to the throne world for military construction, world casting, and scientific research world construction assistance. The remaining 10 worlds are defined by Binghua as recruiting worlds. These worlds have complete orbital defense systems established by the Justice World and direct garrisons from the God's Throne world. To put it bluntly, it is the difference between a direct administered region and an autonomous region, but this is only temporary. In Binghua's plan, this situation will change in the next 100 years. However, something happened that forced Binghua to put all plans on hold temporarily, because there was an encounter between the expeditionary force in the world of Ilals and the purification fleet of the Eternal Ascended One. After Elares defeated the purifier fleet they encountered, they were besieged by several purifier fleets from the Eternal Ascended who came to support them. In the end, they were defeated and had to retreat. After defeating the expedition fleet of Erils, the Eternal Ascended did not leave. Instead, they continued to move towards the sphere of influence of the Justice World. On their way forward, an autonomous world named Ledyard suddenly stood in the way. In front of it, if the Just World cannot send troops to stop it in time, the destruction of Ledyard's world is already a certainty. At this point, the world of justice has finally touched one of the tentacles of this behemoth of a sea of stars, and the conflict between the world of justice and the eternal sublimators will be inevitable. In the world of God's throne, the throne of God, Binghua sits on a huge throne with huge and exquisite reliefs that he rarely sits on. In the hall below, there are 50 worlds, regardless of autonomy and direct jurisdiction, and all their leader projections are listed. Among them, the representatives of Ledyard's world looked anxious, like ants on a hot pot, and the representatives of other worlds also had solemn expressions, all waiting for the decision of the goddess on the throne. Binghua looked at the representative of Lide's world, shook his head slightly and said, "Representative of the world of Laird, do you have any good insights into the current situation?" After hearing the words of the goddess, the representative of the world of Ledyard immediately understood the meaning, and he could finally speak. "Goddess, I beg you to save our world. We are also your people. We are also your devout believers. If you give up on us, our world will only end up being destroyed." The representative of light has never been so out of his mind like today. He now regrets extremely why light did not choose to become a direct world under the jurisdiction of the Justice World. As a result, the world of Rider now does not have its own elite legions and fleets. It can only be in panic all day long in front of the incoming enemies, without any ability to take the initiative to attack. Binghua glanced at the world representatives present and found that they all looked solemn and felt quite satisfied. Is there anyone else who thinks differently about what happened to the world of Letter? Crowleys took a step forward on behalf of Crowleys. His majestic figure, which was nearly half a height taller than most of the world representatives present, immediately attracted the attention of all the world representatives present. Goddess, I, the world of Chloris, am willing to support the world of Laird. The world of justice must not be trampled by any existence, and the Chaos Hunter Legion is willing to become a barrier to the world of justice to block all invading enemies. Kralls, please don't take all the responsibilities on yourself. I, the world of Nudargar, are not the kind of beings who would watch the world of brothers fall into war. Superstars are not cowards who avoid war. This war was started because of Alals. I, Alals, am willing to devote all the power of the world to help the world of Ledred. The Fanshan fleet is ready to rush to the battlefield at any time. I, Makra, will also prepare the space-time shield system for the defense of Ledred. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 647. After the 7 original worlds all stated that they would do their best to help the world of Leonard against the Eternal Ascended One, the other worlds that joined later also expressed their willingness to help the world of Leonard. The final strength of the first batch of troops supporting the world of Rider is as follows. Because the world is too far away from the world of Rider, the first batch of support is from several nearby powerful worlds. The Nudargar world is preparing to dispatch the second Badal army, a total of 100,000 fully armed Badal warriors, and a total of 3 million Nudargar defense forces, and 2 expedition fleets. Erols dispatched 2 Eternal Guard legions, 1 legion consisting of 100,000 Eternal Guards, 3 million Erols defense troops, and an expedition fleet. Because other worlds are far away, those with the ability can only send their own expedition fleets to support them first, while elite ground troops are on standby and ready to attack. For this war that may expand into a full-scale war, Binghua ordered all worlds to prepare for follow-up support just in case. For example, several remote worlds immediately entered a state of preparation for war, ready to support the world of Leonard at any time. Among them, the war machine troops of Superstar, the Intelligent Control Corps of Makra, the King of War Armored Regiment of Fanshan World, and the Chaos Hunters of Chloris have all begun to assemble and prepare to board the transport ship and stand by. The God's Throne World dispatched directly under the God's Throne World, the Divine Guards drawn from various recruiting worlds, and the Demigod Legion, which was a mixture of elite legions and had full environment combat capabilities. The bodies of these members of the Demigod Legion have been further optimized. Compared with their brothers and compatriots, they are equipped with more advanced armor, and their internal bodies have also undergone various refined modifications, plus super warrior technology as physical auxiliary reinforcement. As a result, a new type of super warrior was born. They inherited the characteristics of super warriors who can fight in the vacuum of the universe. Their internal organs and nerves have been specially strengthened, freeing themselves from the limitations of flesh and blood. Except for their slightly fragile body defense, these demigod warriors are not much different from the first-generation super warriors. If equipped with special armor specially built for them, the power of these demigod warriors can catch up with the second-generation super warriors. But it's just a little bulky. At present, after 500 years of accumulation, the God's Throne World has recruited nearly 10 demigod legions, totaling nearly 1 million demigod warriors. As one of the recruitment sources for the demigod army, the God Guards are also more elite than the defense forces in the general world. they are among the best in every world in terms of training and tactical literacy. In this battle between Rider and the Eternal Ascended One, Binghua plans to lead 5 demigod legions, 3 million divine guards, plus the fleet of gods from the throne world. At the same time, Binghua also plans to personally go to the world of Letterdal to take charge of the matter of coordinating and unified command of the various world coalition forces. The representatives of Letterd's world were so moved that they cried when they heard this. As Binghua planned to lead his army to conquer the world, the leaders of several worlds also led their personal guards and direct troops through the Stargate and quickly arrived at the God's throne world, and plans to embark on a journey with the goddess. Those who came to participate in the battle in person include the prototype of the Eternal Guard, Eternal Queen Chi, the prototype of the Chaos Hunter, Kralls, the prototype of the War Machine, Tyro, the Badergar of the Badar Legion, and the prototype of the Red Guard, Magduke. Chi Yao, Commander Doyle, the War King of Fanshan Planet. When everyone gathered together, Binghua did not continue to delay, and led the coalition forces from various worlds to set off towards the world of Letterdal. The piercing siren echoed over the world of Letterd. Many residents of Letterd's world who didn't know what happened were confused and were asked to take refuge by Nudagar, who arrived first, and the god guards stationed by Letterd in the place. At the same time, a large number of transport ships continued to carry various supplies and raw materials to the planet. The construction team from Fanshan Planet used material printers on the surface of the world of Laird to install large-scale orbital defense turrets with ultra-high efficiency. At the same time, the installation personnel of the space-time shield system in the Makra world have already been in place and are installing space-time shield generators in every corner of the Letterd star world as quickly as possible. The energy supply for these space-time shield generators is provided by large-scale antimatter annihilation reactors and stellar radiation collection arrays to maintain the huge consumption after they are turned on. At the same time, there are also several orbital defense and blocking platforms in Leiter's low Earth orbit that have never been seen before, which are also the first line of defense for the world of Lyde. Binghua's goal in this battle is very clear, which is to lure the Eternal Ascended Ones to drop ground troops, thereby plunging the Eternal Ascending Ones into the quagmire of a ground war. At the same time, the fleet was dispatched to conduct a final general attack on the Eternal Ascended Fleet Group, which had been hampered by the battle for ground stations for part of its computing and productivity. Therefore, the problem of how to prevent the residents of Laird's world from being affected by the war has become the first thing to be solved. In the end, it was negotiated to use large transport ships to carry supplies and transport soldiers from various legions to transport the residents of the war zone in Ryder's world. The rest was to build solid underground shelter facilities for these innocent civilians to take shelter. The scourge of war. This is also thanks to the slow sailing speed of the Eternal Ascended One, otherwise the just world would not have been given such ample time to prepare. In that case, Binghua would have no choice but to engage in an interstellar fleet battle with the Eternal Ascended Ones. However, the combat effectiveness of the single battleships in the Justice world could not be compared to the Eternal Ascending Ones, so there would probably be a lot of casualties by then. But now this kind of luring the enemy deep and encircling them from all sides will minimize the losses. That's why there is this battle plan using the world of Ryder as bait, because Binghua is confident that even if he fails to achieve the campaign goal, he still has the ability. Make the finishing touches. After the campaign goal meeting, when the representatives from the various worlds participating in the war left, only the representative from the world of Leteld looked like his parents had died. Kralls bent down slightly and patted his back with his big hand to comfort him. Road. Relax, no existence can match the power of the goddess. She personally controls the world of Ryder, and the Eternal Ascended One cannot make any waves. Kralls spoke with an extremely certain tone, and his expression was full of confidence in victory. Compared to the high-spirited Chloris and other worlds that initially formed the Justice world, other worlds have a slightly pessimistic attitude towards whether this war can be won. Because in their opinion, the world of Errol's, one of the original 7 worlds, which was extremely powerful, was defeated by this being called the Eternal Ascended One, so the enemy must be extremely powerful. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 648. Compared with Theolal's army and other self-confident armies of the original world, which are full of revenge and morale, the defense forces drawn from nearby worlds are slightly slimmer, so the logistical preparations for each legion fall on them. On the body. And they were happy because they no longer had to fight the terrifying unknown enemy head-on, so they worked extra hard for fear that they would be transferred away because of the labor. Under the embarrassed gazes of the representatives of these worlds, Binghua uttered, "Everything you do is serious," and then Binghua turned and left. Milo is an ordinary Ladylonder, but a series of recent events have made Milo a little confused about the future. The god guards from the God's Throne world stationed in the world of Laird suddenly marched into the city for some reason. Together with the local guards, they asked everyone to leave their residences and go to the starport to board the ship and leave the world of Laird to seek refuge in other worlds. For those who were unwilling to leave their residences, the guards' attitude became more determined than ever, completely different from their usual procrastination. But soon the god guards from the God's Throne world used radio to broadcast to the entire city the reasons for the evacuation of citizens. After learning that the world of Ilals was defeated after a battle with the enemies who were about to invade the world of Leder, the invaders would arrive in the world of Leder soon. Those who were unwilling to cooperate immediately packed their bags and joined the retreating team in a cooperative manner. No one believes that this is fake news. If it were just a unilateral announcement by the Lederty government, citizens would still be suspicious. But when this message was released by the Divine Guards, all doubts suddenly disappeared. After the world of Leder joined the world of Justice, these troops from the world of God's Throne, with neat military appearance and strict discipline, settled in their world. At first, the people of Laird felt very uncomfortable with the arrival of these garrisons, because the world of Laird also has its own army to protect itself. But these god guards, who rotate every 5 years, have never harassed the Leders, and even sometimes spontaneously help the surrounding Leders. Gradually, the Ladylanders became accustomed to the existence of this divine guard. They were even more willing to trust these divine guardsmen than the slightly less disciplined defense forces. Some young men from Ryder once wanted to join the God Guard, but very few succeeded because the standards for joining the God Guard were too strict. However, there are still young men from Letterdal who apply to join diligently every year, because as long as they become the divine guards, they may be favored by the demigods, and thus join the demigods and experience the honor of the legendary goddess. Being able to become a demigod is an extremely honorable thing not only in Laird, but even in the original 7 worlds. If that family produces an elite legion warrior or demigod warrior, then their family will become the envy of people around them, and even their social status will be greatly improved. This is all because of Binghua's policy. Since these warriors are loyal to themselves and dedicate everything to themselves, then they have the obligation to give them the status and honor they deserve. Binghua has always been like this, and therefore after Binghua left Merlot Heavenly Court, the angels under her will still miss the time they spent serving under her, the Heavenly Sword King. Time passed quickly in the preparations for war in the world of Ryder, and the fleet group of the Eternal Ascended finally found the target they were looking for. In an instant, the sailing speed of the Eternal Ascended fleet began to increase, and it was getting closer and closer to the world of Ryder. We have discovered a planet with intelligent life, and in compliance with the purification protocol formulated by Samaelo, in order to eliminate the threat of the chaos virus to the universe, we are now conducting a sublimation ceremony for intelligent life forms. As soon as the Purifier Fleet Group entered the planetary system where Letter's world was located, the combined fleet, which had been ambushed for a long time, immediately attacked. However, the Purifier Fleet is obviously not a vegetarian. It seems that it has discovered the ambush of the Joint Expedition Fleet in advance. A premeditated ambush battle was forced into a head-on confrontation. Originally, this ambush was a feint to attract the Eternal Ascended Ones. Although the final loss was greater than expected, it could be regarded as achieving its purpose. The Purifier fleet was unstoppable all the way, chasing the United Fleet all the way to the vicinity of the world of Lyde, after the United Fleet gave up Lyde's orbital air supremacy. As expected, the Eternal Ascended Ones began to launch the usual mechanized troops on the ground, hoping to capture the intelligent life in the world of Leonard and perform the so-called sublimation ceremony. A humanoid mechanical eliminator soldier holding a beam rapid-fire gun. He walks on 4 legs and is nearly 4 meters tall. There are several micro-purification beam cannons on his back, which can evaporate all matter within a range of 10 meters with one blow and can eject flames that burn all energy. A reloadable destroyer of artillery. Although the organization and composition are extremely simple, it is equipped with both light and heavy firepower and can handle conventional combat. Moreover, the Purifier flagship located in planetary orbit is equipped with an automated production line, which can change the equipment configuration of the Eliminator at any time and create new Eliminator models to cope with the ever-changing combat environment. As the Purifier flagship continued to send delivery pods to the ground, increasing the number of Eliminators on the ground, this area was gradually occupied by an army of Eliminators exuding metallic luster. At the same time, fighter-style Eliminator fighter jets began to appear in the sky and began to spread out to investigate the surrounding situation. The Purifier fleet group located in the outer space orbit of Letter's world also began to scan the surface of Letter's world. However, it was interfered by a powerful energy field, resulting in extremely limited information detected. Therefore, the Purifier flagship can only create some aerial combat eliminators to detect the situation on the planet's surface in order to obtain accurate information on the surface so as to command the army of eliminators on the surface. Baidalga sat behind the bunker and chewed energy blocks in his mouth. Several Eliminator fighter jets with white tails passed by in the sky. Baidalga did not react at all and was not worried at all about the enemy discovering him. At this moment, a dull sound of footsteps came, and a Badar warrior wearing Badar armor and over 2 meters tall trotted over. Legion Commander, the Eternal Ascended One is almost reaching the ambush circle. Upon hearing this, Badarga opened his mouth and spat out the unfinished energy block in his mouth, put on his helmet, and then stood up abruptly. His height was a full third higher than the Baidalga warrior beside him. Picking up the Type 2 blaster equipped with a high-energy crystal warhead-penetrating warhead placed aside, and a Conqueror battle axe with dense and subtle energy flashes on the one-handed blade, he roared excitedly in the Legion channel. Voice. All brothers of the Badar Legion, the holy war is about to begin. For the goddess. For the sake of a just world, crush all the enemy forces in front of us.